Hi, this is Shelby French, your guide to Gold Country Living, and I am here at one of my listings. This is on Capello Drive in Angels Camp, and this home is ranch-style home, is almost 3,000 square feet. It's on 6.44 acres of pond, and it is run entirely on solar energy. Now, this solar energy system is paid for outright, was installed over 6 years ago, and the current owners get these monthly reports from their solar company that outline the carbon offset. And the reports state that the carbon offset is 921 pounds, and it's the equivalent of 11 trees. Now, I have no idea what that means. So I brought my friend Allie Reynolds here, who owns a solar company here in Angels Camp, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her company and also about this carbon offset and the benefits of solar energy.
Great. Well, I'm with Aurora Energy, and we're right on Main Street, 80 South Main. Thank you, Shelby, for inviting me. You guys should all work with a realtor who is as educated as Shelby and who's wanting to educate her customers, because it's really awesome to be able to get out here and help the customers understand the value of the home when it has a solar system on it, whether you're the seller or the buyer. So first of all, with the offsets, it's kind of a touchy-feely part of the report. These people have already purchased the energy, so they're trying to emphasize, hey, you did a really great thing here. You're contributing to a greener planet, cleaner air, and because with solar, the manufacturing is a much cleaner process than, say, coal with the traditional utility, which is where a lot of our power comes from if you're with PG&E. If they're not cutting down trees to burn, to use for wood, or actually if there's not forest fires happening, burning the trees down, then you're contributing to a greener planet too. And one of the great things about solar energy, when it's so clean, it's also safe because it's a little power plant right on top of your roof. It's not power coming through transmission lines through highly forested areas that are at risk of fire. It's a power plant right on your roof that's going directly into your main panel and then sending the power out to the grid and then pulling the power back in the evenings when you need it. So it's just a much safer system. That's why so many people are switching to solar, in addition to the cost-saving aspects of it, which to me are really bigger benefits.
Well, we certainly appreciate that for any of us that went through last summer with all the PG&E shutdowns, and I'm really fingers crossed that we don't get another summer of numerous shutdowns. So that's great. Now, I would imagine that this seller on this home who bought this energy system over 6 years ago, they've been saving a ton of money over the course of since they installed it. So what are the typical savings on an average home like this?
So on a house like this, you're looking around a little more than 2,500 square feet. It's kind of a ranch setting. There's a barn. You've got about 20 panels here. You've got some more over on the barn. It's probably about a 7 to 8 watt system that's generating all the power they need for the whole property. So if they're on a well, it's pumping the water, etc. So what's really great about that is because there's also some low energy appliances that have been upgraded, maybe some other changes they've made to cut back on their power, which most people do when they go solar, they're able to completely get rid of their utility bill monthly. So at the end of the year, the only report they're going to see from PG&E is how much power they sent to the grid, and they have a small monthly fee they have to pay for the connectivity, but they're going to see $0 owed, which is what you want to have at the end of the year with any correctly sized power system. A house like this in the spring and the winter is going to be running between $200 to $350 a month on an average utility bill, with an average of 4 residents, usually 2 adults, 2 children. Now in the summertime, that can get up as high as $600 to $700 to $800, depending on if you have a traditional HVAC system or if you're using swamp coolers. And that is a really painful bill to get.
Yeah.
I myself am switching to solar right now because I've had some bills like that, including last summer.
Wow.
You mentioned something about the power outages that I just want to briefly address. That it's not going to go away. It's going to keep happening because PG&E is still upgrading a lot of their system. So there are solutions that you can put in place when you do a system. Even if you have a system in place on a house you purchase, you can add a Generac battery, or you can add a generator with a transfer switch, which you can just plug in. That'll power your fridge and your other basic utilities when the power goes out. For a lot of people who have medical issues, that's definitely a concern. Yeah. It's a great option to have. So be sure to ask your realtor, local people about how you can deal with those things if they do arise. But on the cost savings side, to go back to that, No, if you're saving, on a power bill, you're paying between $300 to $600 a month. And that's $4,000 to $6,000 a year. If you can replace that with a solar bill, which is going to be at least 25% less a month, instead of paying the utility, you're going to save at least $3,000 a year. And over 20 to 25 years, that's a lot of money. That's a college fund, that's a retirement fund, or retiring 2 years earlier, or going on that amazing bucket list trip around the world. So really, if you don't invest in solar, whether it's on a house that already has it in place or adding it to your own home, you're just selling yourself short by missing out on the savings that you would be making immediately when the system gets turned on.
Yeah, and you mentioned 25% savings, but oftentimes, like my family just installed solar, it's even more than that, right?
Typically, it can be 30 to 40%. 25% is actually kind of my low bar. If I can't save someone 25%, I won't even quote them on a system.
Yeah. So over the years, I've learned, we see the rebates and we see all of that advertising. So tell us a little bit about why solar now and what those rebates mean. And I know that they come and go. So where are we at with all of that now?
Yeah, that is confusing. A lot of people, it's part of the educational process. So California currently does not have state rebates existing anymore. They were done away with a few years back. However, there is a federal tax credit. So in 2020, the tax credit is 26%, which is a really big discount. And it's not a check the government writes you for 26%. When you file your taxes at the end of 2020, that will be a credit against what you owe. If you don't owe that amount, the typical rebate is about $6,000 to $10,000 on a system. So the government's not going to write you a check for that amount, but if you owe them a couple grand, you can count that against what you owe for up to 5 years. So you can take that tax credit over the course of 5 years so you get the full amount. So that's a really nice thing.
Yeah.
If you're self-employed or you own a business, chances are you might have a bigger liability and you could use it all in 1 year. So it's a really great credit to have. Next year, the credit is going down to 22%. The year after that, it's going to be at 0. That is what it is currently scheduled for.
Wow.
Now, California has also mandated that any new construction have solar on it. So if you're thinking of building a home or buying a home, if you can find a home that already has solar in place and it's in good shape, go for it, because it's going to just save you the headache of even having to deal with it. But if you're thinking of adding it, it's definitely something you want to do in 2020 to save that 26%. And here's a tip. If your house needs a new roof or a new HVAC system, you can actually do those at the same time as you do your solar and get the 26% savings on those items as well. So if you're putting in a $20,000 roof, which is a 50-year roof, you're saving $5,000, a little more than $5,000 on that. So it's a really nice incentive to have. And the financing on the solar and the additional items is very easy to get. Anyone with a 650 credit score or above can get it. And it starts at 2.99%, which is better than you can get at a bank. I couldn't even get home equity line of credit for that low when I did mine. So, they make it really accessible, and you definitely want to do it as soon as possible to take advantage of the biggest credit you can get.
That's so interesting. And for some of the homes that, like, I sell up and down the corridor, Calaveras County as well as Tuolumne County, and so are you limited at all to homes like up in Arnold, where it's heavily treed, or do you see less solar up there, or are you always looking for?
It's a really good question. And so what we have to do is, if someone calls me and they need a quote, the first thing I do is look up their home on satellite imagery and see what the shading issues are. And then we can actually put it into our software that takes a picture of the roof, like adjusts by the azimuth of the north facing, south facing. The south facing roof is always going to be the most high performing option. How do the trees around the house affect that area that's going to be the most high performing? We can make recommendations for trimming trees, cutting trees down. It's always a good idea to have more space around your property anyway for fire danger. So if you have that option, you can do that. There's definitely more of a shading challenge when there's a more treed area. But you can see in this property, we're surrounded by trees. And we've still got plenty of sun directly on the roof. So it just depends on how far they are away from the house, how tall they are, and
how many hours too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that your system just plug all that in, it probably spits out.
And we
what
can
their
tell
savings are
someone
gonna
right
be.
away if it's going to work or not. And if we don't think we can do it and at least get a 60 to 70% coverage of their power offset, then we're not going to install the solar because it just doesn't make sense for that customer. We can do ground mount systems. So, or we can do it on a barn or another building. So if they have, an area over here that isn't on the roof, that is a more open area that they've cleared or old pasture or something. A lot of these old golf courses that don't have golf courses anymore. Depending on where your property ends, you can do a ground mount system with trenching to the house with conduit, and that can be your power system. So there's lots of creative solutions we can figure out.
Okay, good. Yeah, they just have to call you.
Exactly.
There we go.
Yeah, we try to make it as painless as possible, just like you, and lots of fun and educational, and provide concierge level customer service. So you just want to help people out, give them the answers they need, and make sure they're comfortable with their decisions, that they feel informed.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. It's been a lot of fun.
That was really informative.
And if you want to work with a realtor who cares about her customers being educated and knowledgeable about the homes, talk to Shelby, because she's becoming very quickly an expert on houses with solar on them. And I'm here to help too, however I can. So talk to Shelby if you have a home that you want to list with solar or you're looking for one.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, you guys. Happy house hunting.